Welcome back, you're with CNB. I have to say the new Mercedes-Benz A-Class will certainly get heads turning wherever it goes. It's got quite the sexy look. Now, let's talk about another sexy car. This is the one that you're waiting for. Part 2, if you will, of our Jaguar F-Type review. Now we've got the all-powerful V8S.
As you have already seen on CNB, the Jaguar F-Type is quite the monster. And now, we introduce you to the beast. The V8, or the V8S to be precise, is the most powerful iteration of the F-Type. It's the one that's meant to knock your socks off, the one for the aficionados, the one for the track days and motorways.
Inside the cabin, and you get pretty much what you expect from a sports car cabin, but something that designer Julian Thompson said, which stayed with me, is very true, and that is that the overall design or the layout of the cockpit is very selfish to the driver. And what that means is that while everything isn't sort of evidently positioned to face the driver in any way, you do get a nice snug feel because starting from here on, everything is sort of partial towards the driving position, and of course that would be true on the other side in a right-hand drive in our market. Besides that, you get the kind of materials and fit and finish and feel and all the gadgets that you'd expect as well. Certain nice little touches that I think you expect again from Jaguar, which is things like the climate control over here, for example. The little dials actually have inbuilt screens, and then there's this pop-up deployable air vent, which only comes up when you need it. So otherwise you get a nice flush central console. You can of course customize some of these materials. This particular car has nice orange stitching to go with the outside color. So all of that is nice and sporty. There's something new that we've seen which not everybody likes, but on this particular color again it looks good, which is the paddle shift as well as the start stop button and the dynamic control button here done in this sort of orange copper sort of a tone. So that's different again. And what's also different for Jaguar cars is that the rotary gear knob's gone and you got this sport shift. Again, that was a big decision that was taken to say that, you know what, in this segment, the buyer probably wants something a little sporty, something you can grip onto, and of course it also gives you that Tiptronic option when you go into sport mode. Now, the other thing that's new for Jaguars is the fact that, like Audi's Drive Select, if you will, you also get something new by way of an extra feature. They call it Dynamic Eye, and it's basically a configurable dynamic response system, which allows you to play around with the engine, steering, suspension, and gear shift. And make that perhaps a little bit different. You can customize it to have individual sort of settings to have a softer suspension, more dynamic steering, or you can just go full dynamic, or you can just go back to factory settings as well. So it's a nice idea because you can play around with that and change some of the drive dynamics on the go. And you know what, there's one little feature here which I'm going to show you a little bit later, and that's of course the active exhaust. Well, we'll talk about that in just a bit.
The 5-litre unit is supercharged, and if you recall the figures on the V6, you can see that we have more than 100 extra horses for company here. The gearbox is similar though, and yes, everything is standard on the V8S.
Almost time to jump in and drive the V8. Now of course the V6 was so much fun, so I'm expecting the V8 to be even better. I've got the pop-up spoiler open there just to show you how that looks when it does open up at higher speeds. But the rear of the car, minus that spoiler of course, is really where a lot of the design focus gets concentrated, because it draws on that legacy of the E-Type very strongly with the tapering rear end. And it is of course, as you know, the part of the car that I like best as well. And before we jump in and start driving this car and talking about its performance, let's talk a little bit about that E-Type, because so much on this car has come from the E-Type, not just in terms of styling, but also in terms of that legacy, in terms of some of that nostalgia and romance as well.
Of course, we don't have to tell you, performance is admirable. Does it better the Porsche 911 in terms of actual dynamics and road handling character? No. But in terms of driving character and response, it's right up there. The car is, in fact, as much fun to throw around as the Boxster S, which, as you know, has become the benchmark in many ways, and not just for us on CNB. Now, only if we had it on the track, eh? At the heart of the story are two crucial points. The first is the fourth generation aluminium construction, something Jaguar takes pride in, and something more and more car makers are turning to. Yes, even the mass players like Ford will soon shift to aluminium construction. But anyway, the point is the extra stiffness you get from the ride. The company says it's the stiffest Jaguar yet, and it has the fastest steering too. By the way, the weight distribution on the car is 50-50. The second point is the electronic differential that definitely does add a different character when compared to the mechanical differential on the V6. You also get 20-inch wheels and other goodies like the configurable dynamics and active exhaust, which are also standard.
Now they promised that it would be a really stiff ride, and it is, because well, the all aluminum construction helps, and it's good to see that that's not just on paper. When you do turn the electronics off, well, then you get the rear to hang out just a bit, as we did yesterday on the track. But that was the V6. Today it is the V8, and you know what? It is definitely a whole lot more powerful and a lot more fun, and it's noisier too. But I'm going to say it, a lot of people are just going to simply opt for the V6, not just because it may be cheaper, but because it still seems ample. One thing that both cars do have is the option of the active exhaust. What it does is just a little click of this button, and it makes the car sound simply fantastic. Listen in. How's that? Oh yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
The F-Type arrives in India this summer, and it will remain very niche, as the V6S will be priced at 1 crore 33 lakh rupees, while the V8S will be priced at, wait for it, 1 crore 55 lakh rupees only.